welcome to another Bing Chat before bedtime. So here's an interesting one I tried the other evening. For this one I was messing around in Bing Chat and I was trying to create a new cycle for an old set, specifically Ice Age. So what I'm going to do here is recreate that in the cold, harsh light of day and see where I end up. So when you're working on these sort of creative endeavours, obviously you need to have it in, I think, creative mode. You can try this in the different conversation styles and see how it goes. But for this I always use creative as my sort of go-to. Now, the other thing to bear in mind with this sort of stuff, and I'm using the term prime here, so I think it's quite good to try and sort of prime the AI in some way to help it better understand exactly what you're doing. Now, within Bing Chat currently, if you start a new topic, you get to ask something 20 times. So just bear that in mind if you've got to do like 3 or 4 things that you ask it to try and get it to lock on better to whatever domain you're dealing with. In this case, the Magic the Gathering set Ice Age. So hopefully that makes the responses better and it's less likely to just come up with random stuff. And as you can see, strange things can happen around things like mechanics and keywords and abilities, as you've seen in the episode that I did where I got it to create a new ability, and it was like reusing old ones and renaming them and presenting old ones as a new version, those sort of things. So yeah, just consider all of that. Another thing is to help me with this, I definitely need to have Scryfall open. It's a good way of fact checking. It's a good way to just tweak things where maybe it's suggesting or it wants to use a keyword on a card it suggests which is not in keeping with the theme of the set, in that it's a lot newer for an older set. I'm quite happy for it to invent new thematically related keywords or abilities, and even to the point of maybe if it decides to create a card that generates a token, and in the case of Ice Age, like an icicle token, then I'm quite happy with that. I'll let that go. But yeah, trying to stick, I don't know, something like double-sided cards in Ice Age, or having things like now my mind's gone blank, scry maybe, those sort of things. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. So while I'm on the subject of Scryfall, I am planning on maybe doing some episodes about Scryfall searching. I know I've threatened to do them before, I never got round to it. The other thing I'll try and do in episodes, anytime I feature Scryfall, I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the features that I might be using in a bit more depth. So today, one thing that did come up is the use of tagger tags. So, if you watch my set musings, you'll probably see me use these all the time. So tagger tags are a really useful shortcut. They're not quite so well implemented in the earlier sets as they are in the later sets, because this whole process is a part of a tagger project, which is a community project. So sometimes you also have to cross-reference a lot of this against my old friend MTG Wiki and see what sort of Ice Age cycles, in this case, they've proposed. And you can see So here is where I actually used one of the tags, which is just the cycle tag, which shows you anything that's considered to be a cycle. And you can see there's only 48 cards here, and quite a number of those are the fact that I've got it to show all of the variants of artworks for the cycles of both basic lands and basic snow-covered lands as well. Here. And the one through the tagging that it has is just basically both sets of the cycles for the rare lands, that's the depletion lands and the pain lands, the cycle of talismans, and a few other cards which are cycles in other sets. So the boons, there's a couple of cards from the boons, the original boon cycle, and then Fiery Justice, which I'm trying to remember. Oh, that was a cycle in like Modern Masters 3, because of course some of these will have been reprinted later. The Scarabs, the Cycle of Protections are here, but you can see in MTG Wiki it lists a lot more things. So it's actually got what it's calling the Ice Age boons, which incorporate the two you've just seen from the original boon cycle, which is Giant Growth and Dark Ritual, and then it's subbed out Ancestral Recall with Brainstorm, Healing Salve with Sacred Boon, and Lightning Bolt with Incinerate. But you can see there's a lot more here than is in, or is tagged as such in Scryfall. But I just thought I'd bring that up, because as we're going through this you'll probably notice a disparity, and it's better to mention it here. Going back to the Scryfall search references, this is well worth playing around, you know, regardless of whether I get round to doing episodes about it. And I'll probably do, you know, if I have to do individual episodes, I'll probably like focus on a particular aspect and drill right down. One that I do want to play around with at some point but haven't had a chance yet is regular expressions. And rather conveniently, although I've done regular expressions several years ago, dare I say decades, in that Humble Bundle, which I mentioned in another video, they do have a regular expressions cookbook. Now it applies specifically to programming languages, but the underlying principles are the same in the structure. So that will be very useful, I think, if I do decide to bite the bullet and go down this particular regular expressions feature on Scryfall at some point in the future. Anyway, back to the job in hand, the task in hand. So let's try and create an interesting cycle for Ice Age. I fancy, I don't know, an uncommon set of dual lands maybe with some useful utility, or maybe some nice mana rocks, a cycle of mana rocks maybe that have some sort of additional functionality in there. That would be interesting. So we'll see how we do. The reason why I mentioned specifically those two is because when I tried it the other evening before bedtime, that's basically where it sort of took me. I was doing some interesting things as well, like I did like a reverse, the inverse of the O tag. So I asked it to do this. So all the things that aren't cycles according to the tagging feature in Scryfall. And then I picked something that clearly was a standalone card and tried to get it to build a cycle off of that. And I think it may well have been, there's a few sort of one-off lands in here. But anyway, that's another interesting thing you can try. But here we're going to just go from the ground up. So, okay, so let's have a look. Can you list? So I'm going to prime it a little bit with some cycles from Ice Age. Can you list, should we say 5 cycles that are in the Magic the Gathering. So obviously I'm not going to just say the Ice Age set because I want it to have a chance here. They're in the Magic the Gathering set Ice Age. See what we get. It's interesting, isn't it? Some days this is a lot faster than others. Okay, Allied Colour Alliances. Solar Orb. Lake of the Dead. Interesting. I wonder if that's even listed in. So this is curious. So I've noticed it's a little bit inconsistent here. I'm not seeing. Oh, hang on. It might be up here. Sorry, I didn't spot it. Sometimes it does it as it's going along. Yeah, I can see it here. So it claims to be using MTG Wiki. So colour hoses, cumulative upkeep cards, snowlands, cantrips. Let me ask it, what are the land cycles in the set? So let's see if it's locked onto Ice Age. So I shouldn't necessarily have to repeat myself. Yeah, okay. The other thing with this is you've got to be careful how much priming you do, if that's the correct term, because at the moment we're not too bad. We get 20, within a single topic, if you like. We get 20 prompts. So, Snowlands, enemy coloured alliances. Okay, what about the rare Painlands? I just want to know that it's not making silly mistakes and saying things like, there are no Painlands in the set. Okay. Here we go. Let's just dive in now. So I would like to create a 5-card cycle of artifacts for Ice Age set. Okay, let's just see. I could go into a bit more detail at this point, but I'm just going to see how it's responding. Okay, good. So this is what happened last night. It worked really well when I got in almost like this collaborative mode with it. It's Ice Cauldron and Snow Fortress. Oh, so it's already diving in here. Snow sledge, snow goggles, snow glow. 1. Okay, an artifact that costs 1 and has sacrifice snow sled. Target haste. So it's not mentioned this yet, but I'm assuming, so just looking at this, let's think about this. So this looks, so I expect these, yeah, these are all like colourless, because at that point, you know, all artifacts didn't have a colour in the casting cost. But it's interesting that, you know, there might be colour related to the activation cost, or there might be, so rather than me ramble, let me just go back to one of our cycles so I can actually show you what I'm talking about, which is one of the reasons why I brought this up. Yeah, so this sort of thing, so the scarabs, so dependent on certain colours, yeah, you see here, so colour is casting cost, but colour is mentioned down here. So what I would like it to do is possibly let's just see here. An artifact that costs 3 and has sacrifice, destroy target snow land. Oh, snow shovel. So I'd like them to all be 3 probably. So that could be the black one. See, just looking at these, the bit there's a problem at the moment is these have like an ascending casting cost. And just looking at that and looking at the sorts of things. So this might be what you consider to be like a red one. This a the blue one. This the black one. Another red one, and there's blue again. So I'm not really seeing green here at the moment in the sort of utility that it has now. So what if we chose snow shovel as one of the cards in the cycle, and came up with some others like that to complete the cycle. So this is quite time consuming to do, but if this is anything like the other night, yeah, a massive fun waste of time. It still wants to have the ascending costs, doesn't it? Yeah. Can we make all the costs 3 and adjust power the ability accordingly? I spelled that wrong probably. Okay, so we've got here a snow shovel. An artifact that costs 3 and has sacrifice snow shovel, destroy target land. Plow puts a 1/1 counter on target creature you control. Okay, so that's good. Snowmaker. Create a snow token. It's a land with add. I suppose that's snow. Oh yeah, I like the idea of snow tokens. Change ability to sacrifice snow angel. It's your hand. So that's okay. So that could be the change the power and toughness to 3/3. Interesting. So a lot of these activate only if you control a snow land. So what's that? Green? What do you reckon? Actually, no, that's see, reanimation is also white, so we might be okay. Green, white. See, red can create 1/1 counters. So Snow Shovel would be the black one, I reckon. As red does play around with counters, but wouldn't that normally be or like an asymmetric pump normally? Just see if it knows. So what colours might each of the cards represent? I really like that snow token though. I made. Okay, so it's red. Okay, that's good. Oh, okay. Yeah, this will definitely help us. So it's interesting. When I'm just trying to think, when I tried this last night, what happened with that? Oh, because yeah, when I did last night, I was talking about mana rock, so it automatically did that. So yeah, and again, this is good. This is why I do these videos, is because it sort of gets your head round how can I better engineer the prompt to lock into certain things which it may not have through the generative process, however you want to think about that, how it's doing that, and how you can help it to basically make better choices or generate better things, rather than rely on it to like deduce those things through whatever predictive text it's doing in combination with whatever searches it's doing. So white or blue, snow angel, white, blue, blue, green, green, white, red or black. Yeah, so whichever way we try and do this, we would miss probably red. Yeah, red or black, because we've got green definitely coloured in multiple places, blue in multiple places, white in multiple places. So I wonder if what would we lose here? I like that. Okay, so that's our green one. That's our... Would that be better? Yeah, this is the only trouble. We have to sort of jump around. Another good reason for having a separate notepad open, if I was doing this again and copying stuff across, so it's easy to reference side by side. So that's only generating snow tokens. Okay. Yeah, black. Oh no, actually, sorry. So we might be okay. I didn't think about that. So we could do, yeah, because red does, oh yeah, red does land destruction. So that's cool. So that could be our red one. And again, I'm not going to specifically keep trying to pin this down to try and get it to do that itself. We could, but it might be extremely painful. So that will be our red one. So this I would want as the green, this one as the white, I suppose we could do with blue, white, blue, hang on, 2, 3, 4, 5, red, so what have I said, red, green, white, black, blue, yeah, blue, black, white, green, red. There we go. So we do have them. So, okay, so a couple of ways we can go with this. We've got enough information here. So these are all, again, pinning this all together. We've got enough information to create some cards. So I've got a question for the viewers out there. Can you suggest some really good websites that I'll be able to use in the future for creating mock-ups of Magic the Gathering cards? The important thing is it has to be able to deal with old frames. I've not had a lot of luck, and I must admit I haven't put a lot of time into this, but it's much easier probably initially for me to say, I bet some of you out there do this. So yeah, so in future episodes where I revisit this, because I can see it's quite possible people might ask me to do this more often with other sets. I'm quite willing to repeat this process with other sets, but if it's something you're not interested in me doing, then that's fine. But one thing I do want to know, just to help my own stuff, I'm going to just play around with this, because I can see even if I don't never record any of these again, I'm going to be playing around with this to create like dummy magic cards for cycles that never existed in sets. Because I had so much fun with this last night. I'm having so much fun now. It's really making me think. This is how, well, I shouldn't dictate how ChatGPT should be used or Bing Chat, but to me, this is one of the great ways of doing it, is what I call like interactive creativity, where you're treating it almost like another creative, and you're bouncing ideas back. And this is what happened last night. It got to the point where I'm thinking, oh, this is really cool. Like it's like having someone who's mildly knowledgeable in Magic the Gathering sets, going, oh, yeah, if we wanted to do this, how would you do it, sort of thing. And it was really good because at some point, it's not been doing it yet, it got in this really good discussion about power levels, where I was going, well, maybe we should reduce the power level. It's going, oh no, I don't think that's such a good idea, it should be uncommon, because if it's too complex for a common card and stuff like that. And I was going, well, should we raise the power up a bit? It's going, well, no, the cost is, those sort of discussions. It was using general arguments, not specific to the set. So I did notice it was a little out of whack in terms of thematically, because as many of you know that are familiar with the older sets, there's quite a bit of disparity between things like non-creature spells and creature spells in terms of power levels. So that's where I expected to have problems. But this is quite neat here. So I would like two things. And I've got to try and keep this on target, because sometimes, again, it'll not forget, because I'm not going to wipe this clean yet, but it loses its thread a bit, so I just need to think carefully. What I want it to do is I want it to create a snow token in the style of, now, let me just run down this. Would it work? Everingham, maybe, I don't know. Let me think a moment. Pat Morrissey, that's definitely reminds me a lot of Ice Age. Okay, let me think about it for the moment while I'm doing this. So, can you create? So we're just on the fly trying some create. So, you can create some artwork for let's just keep it simple. Let's do Snow Fort in the style of... Now, I didn't have a lot of success when I tried this last night. I've just thought something I could do. I also wanted to create those snow tokens as well. So is there anything... I'm tempted to do that in a moment. See, this is where it's nice to have access to a program that lets you place this into the old frames, because you get a better feel for how it looks, I think, once you see it in an older frame. But it's not too bad. Let me just try this. I don't know how successful this is going to be. But we'll see. Like, it tends to do things one at a time. Oh, okay, so it's putting a description, which I could use, I suppose. Yeah, that would be good. So I could actually use those in the prompt. That's a neat way that it's done. I've not seen that before. A metal shovel. When I think of snow shovel, I'm more thinking of a larger implement. Maybe snow plow, snow maker, a metal contraption. Okay, let's try that. Create a picture of snow plow, snow maker. So this I haven't had tried so much. Most of the artwork stuff I've done so far has been very simple in terms of the request. So that's good. So you can sort of see here, without me going too far down the rabbit hole, the fun you can have with this. Again, this looks a little bit too modern for artwork at the time, although that one might fit in. What if I did, can you give the artwork a bit more of an aged look? I don't know if that's going to work, but it's worth a go. Again, with this, the more you do it, the better you get at prompting it and using the terminology that works well. And I won't forget, I want to do my snow token. Sometimes it's also handy to do is, it's nice to have one of those like DK art workbooks where you can give it specific references to maybe artists that might be better known generally, which is in a style to what you're trying to create. So that's quite another thing. You know, I could, I was trying to, I wanted to use an artist that was within here. So what did I say? Hang on. So what's this? This is all of the cards. This is the cycles. Okay. So with the cycles, I mentioned Sandra Everingham. Let me just try that. Can you create some art for the snow token in the style of Sandra Everingham? That's right. Everingham, who painted River Delta. Who painted River. Try that. See how well we do. Again, I might not have needed all of that, but with this sort of stuff, you know, I'm really sailing in uncharted waters to some degree. What is the most powerful snow token in Magic the Gathering? Okay. I may have to click that. That's actually pretty good. What do you reckon? I quite like this. I mean, I was expecting a snowflake. I said, can you make it more icy? Super icy snowflake. It's funny, when I first thought of it, I don't know if you remember the card. There's a card in 10th edition, and it's a reprint, and it's got a picture of a snowflake on it, but there's blood on it. And I'm trying to remember what card it is. Yeah, anyway, I digress. So that's pretty good. How are we doing? So we're up to 30, yeah, so yeah, there's nothing more frustrating than when you're doing this and you reach a really critical point and it says, oh, you've run out of requests, or however it terms it, and then you've got to sweep clean, and then you've got to do a bit of repriming, and you can't reference previous artwork and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I think that's, for the moment, all I wanted to do. I just wanted to check the wording on, where's it gone? Snowmaker. Snowflakes in here. That's funny. Do we want to just do that one? Did I do? Oh no, I already did Snowmaker. So Snowmaker in combination with so I got one of these fancy mice, and it, yeah, don't get a fancy mouse. They never quite behave. You got to like keep your hand really still as you, in case you accidentally squeeze one of the side buttons or stuff like that. Okay. Create snow token. That's quite good. Just got to ask you that question. What's the most powerful snow token? I didn't even know that would be a thing. Oh, I see. Yeah, I see what it's talking about. Right. I see. It says that the snow token that can be created by Snowmaker's ability is pretty powerful. So, yeah. It's nice how it's blending it in and comparing it with other cards, which is rather cool. What's the most expensive snow token in Magic the Gathering? Possibly the one created from Snowmaker, I would think. Because, there could potentially be only one copy of that if it was ever created in real life. Oh, now it's gone off with a bit of a side tangent here. Clearly these are not snow tokens. Okay, yeah, I think I've pushed it as far as I want to at this point, but hopefully you can see how much potentially fun this can be. And for me, it's more fun to create cycles of things from old sets rather than try and create complete sets from the ground up. But you could do that. Again, I think you'd have to have a bit of an understanding of how, templating within Magic the Gathering works and slots in sets, so you could prime this correctly so that it wouldn't just come out with random stuff. And we'll leave you there with the image of this. I think it's more of a snow igloo than a snow fortress, although this looks a little bit fortressy because you can't see what's out the back here. It looks like it's a sort of entrance to maybe a bigger structure. So I'll probably keep that. What is it worth? Yeah, this is a bit too bitty, really. Here, like I said, I've seen it produce a bit more coherent lists if it gets it right first time, rather than this where we're going backwards and forwards. Had it produced a coherent list, then I probably would have put this in the descriptions, but I'll see how I get on. So thanks once again for watching. Bye for now, and I will catch you in the next video.